Alright, Jimida, Dundo, Simjan Chasalia, Dewa Debata, Dunga Midibare, the Enzanga, Dunga de Seugures, and then Dewa de Tukugure, Tizadan, Dunga Seadle, Dunga Yadela, Chi, and then Kasore, Tone, Dunga Yata, Nang Simgi, Kangaki Tone, Dunga Yotani Yungore, and then Digi de la Chi, and then Mobile Tempi, and Tungela Tene, Digi Chiche, and Nang Simla Tempi Digi, Niyongore, Dini Zadan Zuke, Dan Zuke, Zodi, Dan Nang Simpi Dene, and Diki Tutadi, and the Geshe Thubten, Dan the Digorma, Kissin Zu Digo Sugar.
Good evening. So all of us, humans, not just us here, but all humans everywhere, as well as animals and unseen sentient beings, all yearn for happiness, a happiness that is freed of suffering. And in order to achieve a lasting state of happiness, one needs to eradicate all forms of suffering to be able to abide in lasting happiness. So there are two general streams that we engage in to achieve happiness, there are two general streams from which we experience happiness or we experience suffering. One is the stream of the outer material world, so form and possessions, and the other is the inner world. So happiness and suffering come about independent or from our outer world as well as from our inner world, our mental world. And of these two, our mind is primary.
Simgi Tone, Digi Tuviata, Simgi Tone, Kanga Siedi, Samdai, Danga, Samlotone Guata, Karatangorelana, Anzulia, Kanga, Samlo Karisna, Anzuki, Samlo Moyadi, Tuasha Kondronga, Nyomo Biriktikires, Dinesa, Desolatine, Anzuki, Kanga Gores, Delatine, Simgi Kanga, Di Tone, and Chiungu Tone, Kangalia Chagores, Chisan Di Mevas Gores. That the member Suvala Kaneski Yamlin Chogolam, Dambo, also Simdi, Yuatanje, and that the Simginane, Sim Sangbody, Sim Sangbody Gulaki Vache, Sim Sangbunane, Sim Sambo Yasho, that Janshu Sim said it is, Dingansuya, Mansgula Gulaki, Getuba, Dingamlan Chogores, as Sungoro.
This is something we need to recognize within ourselves, that it's from our way of thinking that we experience suffering or experience happiness, and that this is the primary source of whether we experience happiness or suffering. And if we divide our various mental consciousnesses into two, those which are unwanted, those which cause our suffering, we can group as our afflictions, our disturbing emotions, minds such as anger, jealousy, pride, and so forth. These are what we need to abandon. Moreover, it's when we are under the influence of these minds that the way that we engage with the material world leads to further suffering. So this we need to recognize, and to the extent we recognize this, we'll strive to transform our mind. We'll strive to transform our mind by, on one hand, emphasizing the need to eradicate our afflictions, and on the other hand, thereby allowing our virtuous minds to develop. And amongst the variety of virtuous minds, the supreme is that of bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment.
Somewhat Ganes Com Ganes Gawar and Yamlan Ganes Shore said, Chidia, Tablam Yamlin Chidarin by New York. Then it died Dambone, Tashan Yamje, some Tajo Comje, and the Jashusim Gulake, go to Tanchigungores. It's not that Gunje Menga, you took some Taje, then Jashusim Gulake, Harimbachi, Niyongores. The Nina Neda, and the kissing Karashi. Shubares Neda, Gunje Menga, Dunyukone, that Jashusim Yamlin Chidarimba, Gulake, Jimbadi, and the kissing to do Shirwa Dinigoram.
Furthermore, once we recognize the need to eradicate afflicted minds, recognizing that these are the causes of our suffering, and the need thereby to cultivate wholesome minds, of which the supreme is that of bodhicitta, we will then want to inquire as to how to generate bodhicitta, how to generate the mind of enlightenment. And there are two methods. The one is that of equalizing and exchanging self for others, and the other being the 6 cause and 1 effect method.
디네 자데 그싱아저 심제 담제 안에 땅님 삼다 고미야다 심제네 저랑에 맞제 용어 고미야 디네 심제네 저랑에 라틴 첨부 임바 고미야 델리아다 진파 딜렌 조기인스베 삼다 고미야 디네 심제 담제 동화당 대화의 대나 님비 잠바 고미야다 심제네 동화다 자나 님비 니제곰 세곰부를 해서 다디 디바도 아주 그싱 대시슈 사바래.
This text presents the second of those two methods, the 6 causes and 1 effect method. And amongst those 6 causes, we've looked at several of them already. We've looked at that of impartiality or equanimity. We've looked at recognizing that all beings have been our mothers, that we have this close and intimate connection with all sentient beings. Thirdly, the third cause we've looked at is that of recalling the kindness that beings show us, whether in this parent and child relationship or in other relationships too, both kindness and benefit they bring to our lives. And then fourthly, cultivating the wish to repay the kindness that they have shown us. And how to do so, this is expressed then through the causes of love and compassion, where one generates the wish, may all beings have happiness, and its causes, that is the expression of love. May all beings be freed from suffering and its causes, and that is the mind of compassion. And this, amongst the 6 causes, we've looked at these 5 thus far. Tonight then, we'll come in the text to the 6th cause, that of the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, and thereafter to the 1 effect in the 6th cause and 1 effect method, that of the generation of bodhicitta. Continuing from where we concluded last week, the generation of love and compassion involves a change of attitude on your own part. However, all the beings who are the objects of these feelings continue to suffer.
Shenle Tsewe Samba de Nyung Jure, Shenle Nube Samba Nyung Jure, Dela Dene Divasa de Nyung Jure, Sisan Anzula, Giva Bottom of Jugan Anzulu, you are to Gores, you are to Gores.
Of the generation of love and compassion involves a change of attitude on your part. So in other words, the cultivation of the mind of love, which is the sincere wish, may all beings whom I feel this close and tender connection with, may they abide in a state of lasting happiness, and to do so may they cultivate the causes for such. And the mind of compassion, which is again coming from the same tender, close attitude towards all beings without exception, may they never suffer, not in a coarse way or a slight way, and all the causes that will otherwise lead to suffering, may they be eradicated. When we generate those minds of love and compassion, we experience a tremendous state of mental peace and mental stability that is not punctuated by powerful afflictions. In fact, our afflictions are greatly reduced in strength and frequency, and thereby our mind is more peaceful, and also the amount of non-virtue that we engage in is greatly reduced. So in brief, the generation of love and compassion leads to a deep transformation of our own mind.
이게 요 중월에 이나야다 아니 가려 열었네. 당아 저기 샘전 탐제 대화대 되나 삼비게 소수기 미유 샘전 되게 대화다 아니 지기디나 대화시 대바 중요를 배선 중요 말해서 양세야 되게 다되네 삼바디 미유도 규베 샘전 대다 세드 드누 홀 샘전 되게 랑의 미유도 규베 대화대 되나 삼비 삼로 따사기 샘전 되게 둥하뇨 되야 강아 체대열에 둥하뇨고 되는 둥하뇨 되어서 제가 둥하다 자요 말 둥하다 제대열에서 지나다 Bendigo 공을 소수게 잠니제까지 공부에는 소소라나 셈흘려 시대 차야당 소소야 게디 개와 약보사야 소소 디고 마사야게 개반시고 주요래 소소라나 산요고마 토야래야 타니어 줘봐도 정주심계라 타니어 줘봐도 소소배 주어 주고 그래서 이나양 아주게 미유의 삼다색의 셈전디게 다셈 둥하다 자여르베스는 둥하다 자여 말했어 대화는 대여러분 대화다 대여 말이야. 그래서 심지어게 세상 둥하다 제 대화 매봐 한 둥하다 제대 요르드는 요래 해서래.
And that sentence concludes, however, all the beings who are the objects of these feelings continue to suffer. So here, due to the training we've already gone through, we're starting out with the basis of developing impartiality. The objects of our love and compassion are each and every single sentient being without exception. And whilst we have now, having generated love and compassion, we have radically transformed our way of thinking, despite this, others continue to suffer. So despite our mental transformation, others continue to suffer. And in this way, we recognize that no matter how sincere our wishes for others to abide in lasting happiness, a state freed of suffering, this remains on the level of aspiration. So the generation of love and compassion, here one doesn't want to belittle it. It has radically transformed one's own mind. It's made such a difference to one's own state of inner peace and tranquility, as well as empowering our spiritual development through the accumulation of masses of amounts of virtue. But despite all this, the objects of our love and compassion remain bound in pain and suffering, remain bound by their own confusion and ignorance.
소소나 심제래 빈데 심제 동화다 자나 심비 니제 공부하다 심제 대화다 되나 심비 디sam장장 공대바전지 안데 심제 동화 된다 두고 말해지래 된다 두고 말해 심제 동화세 두고 말해 심제 디기 두고 말해 안 디장장 삼마다 디강을야 삼로 현다 땅고 그래서 된다라 진짜 디강을야 삼로 현다마다 디장장 공대바전지 심제 동화세 두고 말해 심제 디기 두고 말해서 그나시 디송거래
The recognition here is that the mere wish that comes with that is the expression of love and compassion does not achieve the aims of others. It does not fulfill merely having this wish of love and the wish of compassion doesn't fulfill the purpose of that aspiration. No matter how powerful one's love is, others do not abide in happiness. No matter how powerful our compassion is, others do not abide freed of pain. This is our aspiration, but the aspiration doesn't lead to a transformation of those whom we care for so.
대원의 세월화다 변화도 배로샤네 파조들의 미직배 저것도아제 강아시우시 체대베이나 체대의 미지여베이나 당아주 미디 통전들이야 안삼다데 콜리아 베고 저것도 하셔 지사고 배야 직되니게 저것도 비둥아 빼사나 셈비에 삼로시다 콜리아 같이 칼라 약부지 지라 신부시 사야다제 저거 자제 사야라 그런 되바나 사야라지 그 대화도 주나 셈비에 삼 되네까지 땅 되베네 프리디 저거 도에게 강아세요 말에 아니 그 칼라 사위티기 주하요 말와 지사 디점지 되네게 삼 땅네 콜리아 칼라시 톱시 땅쟁아 저기 제게 톱시 땅쟁 제바 있나 근데네 고 칼라사지네 저도 비강아티에세 내 칼라심보라비 디기디 뇨 강아세다 디뇨 니가 용거로 마도 고 누가 고 저도샤 디니게 강아세나 선비게 디니게 삼바 잠기 안 디갈야 그 강아세 투야요 말레스 제가 디니게 삼 동화다 세고도 디기데 된 고도 선배 삼당 세위 제려야 한 가르쳐서는 아주 칼라시 톱시다지 콜 제고레스 제외나 디니 고 저도 비 동화디에세 칼라심보라 디기디 두부레스 제가 디니 인자 디나비 디나시 심제듬제 동화다 자나 삼바다 디기데 되나 삼바 디잠기 심젠디게 디기데야도 동화다 하시고 말레스 디강을야 탑시 삼노šan다 따냠는 제고레 송거다 된다지와
This is something that should be quite clear to us. For example, if we come and meet someone who's starving, we will naturally have the wish, may you have an abundance of food. May you never suffer like this again, but may from this moment forth, throughout this and all future lives, may you have an abundance of food. No matter how sincere that wish is, no matter how strong that wish is, their suffering is not alleviated. You have to give them food. That's the only way that your wish for them to have food will result in them actually having food. The mere aspiration of love and compassion, no matter how sincere, on its own will not directly lead to the alleviation of suffering of others. So this, what we've discussed thus far, leads to is the introduction to understanding the need to generate the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility. Jamba katse komba ina ya ni pajo ge semje dunga se da digi tu me ba ina dine ina ana na garche warasne jamba da niji jebi ge cham la so de jisa dangbo semje tamje dewa na de na sembe jamba kom jamba ge dine semje dunga na jana ni bi ge ane niji ge de jema niji ge yodu an di dine di cham de le de san sam de le yodu dan semje samno gar tang gore labna semje de da dunga yugyudan trashin, dewadan dewi yugyudan tenpa, ji marung nyamba, ji marung nyambi, ji labe samba jik, geworeche, ji marung asenbige, ane labe shenpenge samba, deda dunga yugyudan trawadan, dewadan dewi yugyudan tenpa de, dagi ja nyambige samba topchimbo jik gewora. Donala Karsungosana, Jamniji Sewe Jela, Karsosana, Dine Semja, Dunga Yudan Takudu, Dewa the Dunga, Dewa Yudan Takudu, some people, some logic, the Denige, Shukchembush, some down near Tangures or that Dewa Dewi Yudan and the Jimarung Yamba, some Sedeji, some lace or the Jamba, the Nijawadi, Dewa the Dena, Nibe, some Chita, Dunga Dana, Nibe, some Mado Marava. Deda zam le so da de ji de ro da lakbe de le lakba gar sam dong de xianpian jie samba de da dunga gyu dan zhawa na dewa da dewi gyu de den ba da ge ja nge ji gin sim jing yu dunga da zhawa da dewa dunga gyu dan zhawa de nge ji gin sim jing ye tum je dewa da dewi gyu de den ba de nge ji gin se be ge da di sam dang gom gu re di sam de la sam nam da si gu re che di komche choma mai ba che ba na la san nam da ki res di jinye ba de le top che wa res top che wa shi ki gue tamana. The text continues. So, having generated love and compassion, the next step is to extend the altruistic attitude beyond just the thought, how I wish they were free from suffering and its causes, and possessed happiness and its causes, and develop the more intense altruistic thought, I will cause them to be free from suffering and its causes, and to be endowed with happiness and its causes. Here, one has now developed love and compassion. So in the 6 causes that lead to the one effect of bodhicitta, one has developed the causes of love and of compassion. But one here has reached, this can be expressed as the limit of this mere aspiration, which is the expression of love and the expression of compassion, or to express that differently, one has reached the boundary of these aspirations. So here the practitioner is not content with their love and their compassion merely being an aspiration. For them that is not enough. That is not enough. It has to be something more than that, something greater than that. And then that is expressed here in the second part of the sentence. So having generated in love and compassion, the next step. So this is the generation then of the sixth cause, that of the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility. The next step is to extend this altruistic attitude beyond just the thought, how I wish they were free from suffering and its causes and possess happiness and its causes, and develop the more intense altruistic thought, I will cause them to be free from suffering and its causes, and to be endowed with happiness and its causes. So this expression here, I will cause them to be free. This is the expression of the altruistic attitude, where here the practitioner has the strength of mind to bring about to fulfill the aspiration. Love and compassion, credible minds, but they are an expression of an aspiration. May others have happiness in its causes and be freed of suffering and its causes. Here, the meditator has developed a far more powerful mind, and it's a mind with intent. I will ensure that this comes about.
다 디네게 삼다야디 간수 고미야디 니보 고미야디 레스를 sem전 탐제 동화다 동화 유단 자와데 니 지기 sem전 탐제 대화단 대외 유대 된바데 니 지기 삼베게 디네게 삼노데 니 지기 세베다 소수기 개인경이 쿨도 켜와 니 지기 sem베게 디네 쿨도 켜베게 로디 두신의 삼당 공고레스 데네 곰네다 소수랑랑이야 디두 삼다 공고 간점질레 로 쩨마 많이 바지 계속바이나 데네 오건 라산 남다세디
The mark or the sign of generating this altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, often translated as special intention, is where one takes as one's own personal responsibility the fulfillment of one's aspiration that is love and aspiration that is compassion. In other words, where one takes as one's own responsibility that beings attain freedom from pain and suffering and rather abide in lasting happiness. So it's this taking of responsibility that is the sign of having generated the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility.
디 참라 디다비게 삼로 상보 깨와자 민버 무소 라니기 베징기 토네 셈제데다 동알레 자와다 대와단 덴버 데비기 듬바 슈자치 기기예세.
Paragraph concludes, at this point you develop the fervent determination not just to generate such good attitudes in mind, but to free all sentient beings from suffering and establish them in happiness directly through your own efforts.
그래서 데데디 도나디 싱고레 지나데니 잠바단 잠스미 대화데 되나 선배 삼로다 심제 동화다 자나 선배 삼로도 로상보르와 디전 디잠 곰바 께와 마임바 다 라니게 소소 라라게 게 라지긴 선배 고소 라렌 대긴 선배 라니게 베준 제네 모두 동화세야단 디 유튜브 두긴 사데 삼로디 데니기 슈트하고지 기고레시데다 라산남다디 두스니 기고레디 곰발라테네 쮸마 마임바 께소나 다 라산남다 께와레 사데
So this final sentence in the paragraph makes clear. Here, the meditator has developed a fervent determination to fulfill their aspiration, to actually bring it about. They are no longer content with although it is a sincere wish for others to be freed of pain and suffering and abide in lasting happiness, they are no longer content with this mere aspiration. They are going to do something about the suffering of others. They are determined to ensure that others attain freedom from pain and suffering. And as the line ends, they will do so directly through their own effort. This is someone who's generated the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility.
Samba Gachenbo Di, so Dine Hasan Namdan Kiyodu, Samba Gachenbo Di, Simjan Tamji Yu Kuru Duen Kuru Chembo Rangis Rangi Kirgu Ningdup Chembo Gabar Jes. Jesa Dinigi Hasan Namdaki, Simji Yu Duen Dingi, Dubin Sempe Sosolia, Ningdup Shushli Gores, Ningdup Kigor Echere.
This high intention will endow you with immense courage to take on the monumental burden of all sentient beings' welfare. So a key word here, because it shows the experience of the meditator, is immense courage. This is what they have, an incredible, deep inner strength.
Dinigi Ningdup Kiyodu, Dinigi Hasam Namdadi Ningdup Tiyubigi, Samlu Ningdup Tidabu Yena, 강한 지삼 체바 디 최기 닝도다 심슈 체와 중스 지상 깔래 같이 중고인 깔래 같이 여베나 디점 닝도 체루고레마 체루고레세 심슈 체다 닝도 체기그레세 용고레세.
When you have this resolute mind, as great as the hardships you encounter are, so great will become your sense of inner strength and courage. So here we see the transformation in attitude of the practitioner who has generated the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility. Challenges, hardships, serve only to strengthen their wholesome minds. Their response to all hardships they encounter is only ever more determination to benefit others, to ease their pain and suffering.
가토기야 셈슈기비기 조치기 시도 지사 한줄야 대나 가토기 셈슈기비 조치기 하산 남다 개바이나 강아 유디 걸야 셈슈기기 조치고레스 베나 저기 뒤로와 셰행이 동아세야다 되는 로바제티 강아 시우슈 강아 가지 깔래 가지 유에베네 지사다 니지 인습을 하산 남다 여반선 디기 셈슈기는 되네기 제 고버는 배 가신 구신거베 가와 기고마다 심슈 자고 말이지 가신 그 봐. 디나진 아주게 기회 자와로 제베네 다시 디기 안에 깔래 자요다 깔래디 오다 디네 깔래 자 빼고래 셈비기 심슈 체루고 그래지래.
Paragraph concludes with, this ability to undergo hardship will assist your determination. So what is being expressed here is, again, how a person who has generated the altruistic attitude has a transformed attitude. They will not be overcome by hardships and difficulties. In fact, their response is radically different. Rather, their response to hardships and difficulties will be naturally, spontaneously, joy will arise in their mind. And the joy will not be at encountering the hardship, but rather the joy will be at this hardship presents me with an opportunity to strengthen my wholesome minds. And not only to strengthen my own wholesome minds, but to help where I'm needed most.
Dene chue nyamlin jegen zam members shen namla yang ane ningdu chenpo ningdu ne gai chenpo res.
Inner strength is important, not only for practitioners of religion, but also for other people.
지사 당은 저기 주의고 기시마셰바지 지다네 주의고 기시마셰바네 저기 지속이 롭종으로 삼다베네 당에디 장제 직능도지 뒤장 칭바지기스 직능도지 지어바이나 지 롭종 제들이야 아니 강한 해바지 어깔래 가서 당에디 장제 탈심바지기스 제디 고 타시바치스 닝도 주여바이네 데네 롭정데 타치발레 핑거와 닝도 보고래 닝도 메나 롭자 아당한테 지나사마 깔레카도 심지셔마 샤잔데 마샤나네 줍투고 말아 디나신 롭정으로 제베나다 레가이네 다가와 아주 레가르 어다디 레가데 깔레카 가지 투사 말스 샤바나 드나 두야 메바레 지사든 어다디 드나 두야랴 이딩이 깔레카스나디 짜위인세 깔레 잡데 레가디 지긴선베 섬노 제베네 닝도 고고로 당아주 뒤로와다 제사 데니게 토네 아니 지게 닝도 가시 데니게 레가랴 베수 시우제다 안지게 롭정이나 베수 시우제야 아니 저 지단에다 안지게 최고 기시 마셔바나 지소 쉽쇼 아니 강아 유서 사자 타르고 구교디와 줘야다 아단 사자 타르고 데데르 모터 강아 유에 튕긴 당겨나 조금에서 베게스는 삼로나 이거 곧 바로 저토로 버지 토야요 말 시사데 어디 강아 유디어 다디 강아라 마스방아 두긴 판도 지긴스비 닝도 강아에 가서 나가요 말은 이 지긴스비 닝도 끼어도 아니 대선 봐 진짜 아니 거기서 버지하다 판도 두토 용거와 시사당 안 저기 최유고 기시 마셔바나 지단 지딘비게 레가레 지딘비가 저 롭정 되네 호도베네 닝도다 심슈도 구월에 닝도다 심슈면은 레가도나 두금도 와서 안 베디나신 당 저기 최기념는 제발에 닝도다 심슈도 구월 디면은 먼저도 말해서 무슨 거로와
Having inner strength or strength of mind helps people in all circumstances. So if we look outside of the religious context that we normally approach this through, if we take, for example, when one is studying, perhaps one is at university, or one has big exams coming up, one may be experiencing a lot of stress, a lot of pressure to get a good grade, or worrying that whether one will pass or not, or one will be even thinking, what is the point? Maybe I should just give up. But if one has a strength of mind to call on, this inner courage, obstacles like that can be overcome. And thereby one can complete one's studies, and whatever benefits that those studies will lead to can be attained. Or in your own work life, whatever challenges one encounters, perhaps one's given a project and it seems overwhelming. If one has the strength of mind, one can think clearly, plan and work through the various challenges of this project, and one can overcome them and achieve one's goal. Or if, for example, one is required to go somewhere in order to do something, one needs to perhaps travel a great distance in order to do something, and thinks, oh, this is going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I don't really want to. Then, with such an attitude, where one is overwhelmed by the obstacles, the benefits of one going there and helping out can never be achieved. Whereas if one has the strength of mind, those obstacles, one knows, one has the capacity to overcome them. One just needs to make some effort, approach it with a different attitude, and they can be overcome. So in this way, we can recognize that in all contexts, whether our own religious contexts that are spiritual developments, or in ordinary life, strength of mind, that determination, makes a great difference.
아디네자 듬바가나 요바 데르 안에 람유 집에 시수니 뭐냐라 데바레 에세지 다지단 저기 어디 시팅에 로션다 디로다
The saying, where there is a will, there is a way, is indeed true.
예, 지난 듬바가나 요바 데르 람유 집에 안데니게 소야 라마츠 송고레지로다 디가르스네 소수게 람데 냠는 제기 되니기 듬바 빼 슉첨부 제바이나 디 냠는 제발라 때네 람디 귤레기 용고로 지난 델라 람 귤레기 투그레스 지난 람 귤레기 그레스 이거네 덴바레스 두수로
One has sufficient determination or will. There is nothing that can overwhelm one. One can work through all problems. So in our case, for us, we can generate a path in our continuum.
그래서 저기 냠는 제기 나때 텔이 지긴 선비기다 가신 조신 조의 삼바 지역에는 디 냠는 제할 양아 저기 냠는 지거로 와지선 존주기 냠는 세야디 디순고로 와지선 냥 계침부 인바된 존주 냠는 지고로 해야디 디 대래 냠는 제할이야 딩이 지 공부인이 지힌 셈비 가신 조신은 변형하다 다디세야디 셈징이 되는게 두기 셈징이 된다 강하든 이 세기 셈징이 디기 두기 셈비 삼로 가신 조신 한번 되게 삼로 주여도 디 자와 둡체 아니 지지거로 소소ኝ 냠는 제바 데르와 디니로 엔 저기 쇼쇼스네 딩원에 덴바레세 두스두스로와.
The teachings you've heard on choice perseverance, you'll recognize what is presented here. Here the practitioner has developed an attitude where they take delight in their spiritual development, in their cultivation of virtue, in their progression towards the achievement of their goals. And here, what causes them ever more delight is transforming challenges. They don't anymore encounter problems and hardships, rather they transform challenges. With such an attitude, they take delight in their spiritual development, recognizing that there is nothing that can hold them back. As long as they continue to train and develop themselves in the correct sequence, they can overcome or transform every challenge, and in this way, spiritually develop and be of ever more benefit to others.
데네 자다 오당한저 에딩이 제게 제 투사망한 지금에서 되게 듬바듬에만에 아니 거 레갈에 잠자용으로 지산 냠는 제 잠지 잠샤바는 귤레게 두에 메르와 지산 듬바디 무지 거바디 계신 뭐 차그로와 아니 아주게 람냠는 제가 잠마임바 아니 내수 아주게 뭐뭐 자와 가레나 디로와다 아주 잠잠 조이나 사지야 텔레 조긴 선배 삼로 디사지규 델레지 조고 선배 되니 듬바 침볼레나 나 사지야 gelегеле 진 탑시다 레용으로와 델야다 조기 되니 듬바데 델라 조야게 듬바메나 델리기 말와 지상 안주 파소 지 가와 조베네 아주 뭐 넘주 나주도 넘주 가와 조나 디케도 그러와 슈로 겹시 디나시르 안주 듬바디기 듬바디기 레가로 가르치기나 듬바디기 슈캡지 레가들 고좀 용도와 안직 조사나 듬바디 델 조고좀 듬바디 바키야도 디엔 디 슈겐지네 팔 가와나 조 레거로 왔다 가서 님에 딱 봐라 가서 직치어 야마 조야다 직 곰제야레 가서 삼제 되야레 아는 직제는 저 듬바디 레거로 왔다 게 디제고 좀 듬바레도 곰제야레 삼제 제 듬바되야레 지시공을 다 듬바지 대 조고 좀 듬바레도 듬바디 슈게지 질러려 조야 가서 조고로 와 제 캠로야레 레가 조야레 레가는 디제고 좀 듬바레다 레가지 고송고로 제가 듬바세야디 뱀마시게 하는 중에 냠랭이 제발라 디니기 냠랭 제기 듬바디 근데 슈침 보고를 해야 돼 예치 뭐 슈를 송고로 바디
Will or determination is of great importance. If we lack this, we will give up. We will encounter hardships and problems, and we will give up. Whereas, if we do develop a strong determination, we can work through all of these. So, for example, if one is sitting on one's couch and has the thought, how wonderful it would be to be in a particular place, maybe to go there on holiday. This will only stay a wish, and one will remain on one's couch. But if one develops the thought much stronger, one will make the required plans, and eventually one will buy one's plane ticket, be in the aeroplane, and it will take you to your desired destination. So here we can liken aspiration or determination or will to the aeroplane that takes us to our destination. In terms of spiritual development, there's a very clear sequence of training to engage in, all of which serves to sequentially develop our determination, our aspiration, our will. Hearing teachings, reflecting on those teachings, having a daily sustained meditation practice, all of these lead to the cultivation or the development of determination, of will. And this will then lead to engaging in occasional retreat, continuing with our daily meditation practice and further retreat and so forth. And in this way, our spiritual development will grow, our determination will likewise or correspondingly grow as well.
Shugi wandu zhogu samdaya na nga zugu lui da nga gansa da lui ni di semgi wangyur tone zhodigo, semgi wangyur tone zhodigo rwa. Bina nga zirwa, bina chi kala shimburu shina, ko saagi dunba mena, ko zhodo na saagi mesen shaagi rwa. Chi katsogo zhoda, gyumo zhoda, shimburu shaagi mena, soso di saagi dunba dena, zago rwa da, di chirwa. 제산 데네산 데네게 삼다는 아주 레가로 가래 제베네 소소기 디 듬비게 듬바체 제산 듬바치다 디기 토네 는 아주 제주도 아주 류요고 제하다 파소줘야다 나네 계시야래 가르제나 직접지다 셈비 온도 규르체 셈비 온규 토네 조고래 제산다 셈비 온규 조원자 나주기 류나기 쩨바디야 셈비 온규 토네 조고래 셈비 삼로나 당보 삼로지 코르제 미 기시 디셰고도 셈베 삼다데 야가 시고 삼는 칸마 야가 된 거래 누가 시고 삼나 칸마 누가 된 거래 내 삼나야 파 체외 삼바르제도 동계 넘겨 주보 된 거래 제 잠베 삼레도 동계 넘겨도 야고실이 거래 디네자 차사 셈비 온규 조고래 제자 디네자 셈비 온규 조원자 먼저 셈디 sögyo tangu kore sache. Chesa sem yakbu de chasa nganzu peshe tang, yaa tang, sem di duga de maa peshe dur maa meba sögyo kore. Chesa nangpe cheki lobcho di dirwa sem sögyo tang yade. Chesa sem sögyo tang da dede, nganzu dine sungyo de sem sögyo tang. Chesa sem sangbi rikdi sögyo tang nipa che tang de, nganzu lunga choba de sem sangbi ki di chol chugu kore, di chol chugu kore. Di chol chugu de, shen le penpa chi chawachi ma de nebe chawachi go ma re che. Chesa di go go re che. 두고 제자디 인자 마저 류가가 줘봐 마저 미 제류 셈비 원이 줘봐서 때 원도 유해 셈디 상부질 쏘고래 해서지 bom볼 마서나 야후 쏘고래 쏘고다 bom보 렘비고 dimbo bom볼마다 셈바 상부식 고구래 셈바 상부 원규 토네 아니 류가 줘봐 전에 패봐 준 거래 제자디 셈마 빌레 샤고래 bom보 상부 지어봐나 이디 야보용 주투와 뻔뻔한 보이나 강아 되기도 하셔서 제가 디나 뻔뻔하신 아주게 셈 류가기 온도 유한디 셈레 제가 디 상보시 야보시 고고래 제래 제가 디 인장한테 셈게 소교다 셈 상부 주다 냠내지다 디니데 공바나 셈 상보 얘기를 해신 셈 상부 주다를 송거로 봐야
We have experience of the role of determination, aspirational will in our own life, because it is this mental factor, this way of thinking, this particular thought that directs our body, speech, and even our mind. So if we notice we are hungry, but we can't be bothered to do anything about it, what is lacking is aspiration to get up off the couch and go and get some food. On the other hand, if we have the aspiration to eat something that we particularly desire, we will not only get up off the couch, but we'll go into town and we'll go to a restaurant and eat something delicious. So whether we do something or not depends on whether we have the aspiration to do it. Here we have so many examples in our life that whether we have an aspiration or not, whether we engage in something or not, and whether we complete what we're engaging in or not. And this isn't just the case with physical activity, but so too with speech. Especially if one recognizes that one is going to have a conversation that one values or sees as important, one will plan out what one is going to say. So this comes from an aspiration, a determination to ensure that the conversation achieves your desired result. So you have an aspiration of sufficient strength to achieve a particular result that you now plan carefully what you're going to say. And if, in accordance with your aspiration, you may decide to speak in a harsh and abusive manner, or you may decide to speak in a wholesome, in a kind manner, in order to achieve your aspiration. So what we see here is not only for physical activity, but for speech too. It comes from aspiration or determination. And so too does our mental development. If we have developed the strong determination to be guided by wholesome minds, to develop a good heart, we will ensure that that is what guides us. If we lack this, if we lack such an aspiration, we may well have other aspirations to dominate, to ensure that we are in charge, we get our own way, and we may well end up acting in an abusive manner. So here in a place of work, you may well have worked for a boss who's a good boss, or one who's the opposite of a good boss. Their behavior comes from their way of thinking, and what guides their way of thinking is an aspiration to achieve particular goals. So in our own experience, our own lived life, from ourselves as well as what we experience, we see the role that aspiration or determination plays.
남로 프리아서야다 다유 종셔가 넘주서야디게 가르치네 넘주서야디 당보 삼로 코르제 삼루기 데니스요고 데니시도 스바지야 데셔서 삼루 토네 세네 마도 삼루 다음에네 디서 투야 호르메르와 지자다 데니기 제서 삼루 세데 베마시기 간저 예침부인자 제서다 니버 침부리 삼루 디게 땅하여 돈에 야고 중베네네 자산을 시리하다 디기주야 베네 경험치에 삼다다 그디나 제 삼로 잠제 삼다베다 그디나 경험치 샤리아 시리다 지 중요하다 자산디용으로 다양한 직본 가시 빼 삼롱 안바로시나 은차와제 삼롱 안베디고 현래 차와제 현기 큰버 도야다 좀야다 미쇠야다 강아마 오지 용거바디 가지 디용거로 디 가르치는 삼루의 돈의 연구를 받아 삼루의 돈에 류 넘줄때 와치유디 안 바지 비베셔다 되는 제대 강할 때야 연구를 봐. 제가 삼루디기 미코론을 왕랑화메바 셈이 랑화 샹화도 소화를 받아. 밀랑화메 셈예상 셈디 미디제와 셈비게 삼여도 밀랑화메바 류하게 죄베기도 되는 거라. 제가다 셈기 온도 교화를 밀랑화메바 셈기 교용으로 셈례 잠바다 제외 삼바 제외반에 되는 랑화메비 류하게 죄베도네 현래 펜베자와 같이 주토바자 다 셈세야디 다 세계 단계 셈냄비리도 마 메바서야다 상비리도 야 곰곰곰 제 니버처셔 다제 곰바 니버처 당고야 되다 아주기 제 점리시대 주마이나다 심전의 주 동화세야나다 심전의 디기주베 나다 랑 디기주베다 동화세야나다 차산다 심베 상비 초디 뭐 곰베트 당고고래 해세데 당한 저 롭종으로시다 랍든 롭저를 dit난 거로 와다니마.
There are a couple of points being made in this section. Here, the importance of the centrality of the mind is one key point, and accompanying this is the importance of a powerful mind, the strength of mind, the strength of determination. So if we think in the material world, where people, or those people who have created something new and remarkable, whether it's rockets into space or the first aeroplanes, these are phenomenal inventions that have been created and designed and created. And they took tremendous determination to bring about. So in our material world, we can recognize the importance of strength of mind, of determination. And in our spiritual world, we look at the example of His Holiness, who's consistently has a strong determination to act and under the influence of wisdom and love and compassion. And moreover, continuously encourages others to cultivate and be guided by these minds themselves. Here, but this is also the case where we see harm being done in the world. So His Holiness is an illustration of those who consistently do good in the world. There are those whose endeavors bring so much suffering and pain in the world. There, they engage in these activities due to the strength of their determination. They don't just have a mere aspiration for death and destruction to come to others. That aspiration is particularly powerful. Their will to destroy, to harm, is powerful. So these illustrations serve to make the point of the primacy of the mind in determining what other minds follow, as well as speech and physical behavior. The primacy of mind. And here then, there is another key point to be aware of and to keep reminding ourselves of. People are not free. People are not free. They do not have free choice or free will. They are under the control of their mind. If their mind is wholesome, maybe we could say that the general outlook of their mind is wholesome, so too will accompanying minds, speech, and physical behavior. If their mind is generally unwholesome, so will accompanying minds, speech, and behavior be unwholesome or be harmful. This we need to recognize. To the extent we recognize this fact, we will understand the need to train our mind, to take responsibility for our mental development. And then we will understand the meaning of practice, of Buddhist practice.
semgi tone wanggyur ta semgi wanggyur tone den jeba ine den mangbo ju tuyo ba de ga sebu ra cha ho tu do a sang ga samlo ta ba ine samlo ta tu su jeba ine han ji bian na ya ji di shu be ne ji do a ga zu ge Lama yi shi da su bu mi ji ko zu ge de chue so zu je da bo chue so zu je de ge chue so zu wen de chue nian xie xie le xian le pan de yong sa de de chue so zu wu du sen bi ge samlo de ni ji ko ro xie se ma ju na samlo de ni ko ro ba da gong ba de ni chung wa ra samlo de ni 제가 되는 공부 되는 시에 디 삼로 디 용만자 디 혼에 제가 최소 주제가 될래네 두시는 아주 최년시 제가 최소 공부 나야 이제 최년시 지향 아주 개월도 고브라와디 지나 남의시도 저번 주고는 저 되게 삼로 되는 시 코어제 디도기 삼로 되는 용도 봐 차기도 와 지나 니네 상한 저기 되게 삼로 돈에 연구요 받이가 두시 삼다나 심지 제배는 직되게 세부를 하고 도야르지 몽도아.
This is a profound truth to recognize, so therefore one's encouraged to think about this again and again using a variety of examples, not merely to hear and say, oh, that makes sense, accept and move on, but to keep looking, seeing new illustrations in one's own life and what one observes, to establish the power of the mind, the importance, and thereby we will understand the importance of training our mind, developing our mind, because to the extent one's outlook is wholesome, one's accompanying minds and behavior will be wholesome too. So for example, we can think of how we have the opportunity to be here at this Dharma center. We can trace this to any key points, but we can take the coming together of Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche and their aspirations being expressed or their determination to bring benefits into this world being expressed and being achieved. And through their mental development and their expression of their mental development, they were able to establish the FPMT through their inspiration, through their good example, through their leadership. And in this way, centers such as ours were originally established, and not only established, but they were continued to be developed, to thrive and to grow, to the very point where we are able now just to amble along and come and sit here and achieve the benefits on the shoulders of those great beings.
Denige da Dumbakana Yuba, Lam de Yuji, Shesu Dunguni, Muni Timbali Dosede, and the Dusine. That in a Cabresa, Natu, Nisu, Ganga Genshi, Ganga Genshi, and Tebiki, Dumbam, Simshu Chane, Didebe Ganga Genji Lerati, Nichi, Midu, Yambigi, Simshumbigi, Lelo, Gigi Yusing Sa.
So continuing, if our will or strength of mind lessens when we get into a difficult situation and we fall into the laziness of feeling hesitant, thinking that we could not possibly accomplish such a difficult task,
Redadi Mixigi got Sebur water, Chisan, Lega Karachevina Cabrilia, Chilega to the Simshu Charge, or Daddy Kangadu, Daddy Kanga Lega the Lamro Majo Kanga Chair, Chimudi Chelia, or Daddy Kangadu Nichi to Samarata, Yosamare, Dunda to Samare, Simshu Charge, and Legadi Jema to begin, and then answer that he made some big Samlodi, Yungorwa, Chisendi, Disungordandala.
This then presents the situation that is the opposite of having strength of mind, deep conviction and courage, where one encounters a situation thinking, this is too much for me, this is beyond me, I'm not up to this.
Dumba Chundo Song Di Dunga Kanle Kyopara Che Mitube, Ganga Chechun La Shibiki, Nidubki Unikachimbo Yinsa. Chesan Dumba Chundo Song Di Dunga Kanle Yang Kyoparachi Midup said. Chesade, Denige Simju Jabana, Legat Kanishina Dona Dutumar, Jizakanga Setumare, Penanga Jige Sosuke, that Zayatu Yako, the Titon, the Lagale, or the Lagade Kaledu Chitusa Maris and Simju Lermaji Shashabana, then you Zayatu Raya Manguraya, then Zayatu Raya Yomarwa, Dina she Lega Cheshun, Chunju in Nada, Chempo in Nada, Chick Penanga Duaba, Conda Duaba, Chikton, and the Taran Kalek Dumas and Pegedine, then the Duel Pecale or Simju Chavane. Marwa, and by Madonna Benedona to Marwa to Tumara. Chisan Lega Chunju in Nada, quote Chichegi, the Jitusa Mares, Simujana, Lega Chunju, the Dona to Mares, Ganase to Mares, and Dona Moruna Gama Serva. That didn't Lega Chimbo in the Darwa, Lega Chimbo the other, the Chimbukanga doing it to some Mares and Sambana, and they got Dona to Mares. Chisan Dumbo Chundu, someone Digi, Tunga Kanle, Gilbert City. Lega Chunju in Nada, Chembo in Nada, Ganga say that Digi Dubiagi, Tabian Dele Dumba, to some Mares and Dumba Nuba Chun Yam Drovina, then Ganga Chunju Jina said to Mare, Chembo in said to Mare, Digi Chunju in a drup to Mare, Chembo in a drup to Mares.
Going to read half the sentence, but I'll read the whole thing now. If our will or strength of mind lessens when we get into a difficult situation and we fall into the laziness of feeling hesitant, thinking that we could not possibly accomplish such a difficult task, this diminishment of our determination is unable to protect even ourselves from any suffering. So this is, in this paragraph, continuing to look at the situation when we lack strength of mind. And if one is sitting on that couch again, hungry, but can't be bothered to get up and go to the kitchen, one can't even overcome such a small suffering because one feels it beyond oneself to make some effort, to apply oneself. And if we can't even apply ourselves to achieving what we certainly have the capacity to do, when it's even something small and straightforward, then larger things, which we also have the capacity to achieve, will remain well beyond us. So this is the problem of feeling hesitant, of feeling timid, feeling that things are beyond us, when in actuality, all that is lacking is determination, strength of mind.
기균이 가이침보 인세 제사 강한 충충 있는 데는 델라 빅바비게 야 닝도 끼어와야다 강한 첨보 있는 데는 첨보 있는 델라 미비게다 닝도 끼어와야 돼 셈슈 끼어와야 돼 dumba kiawa di chigin simbige da nyamnan ji jiwa simbige ningdo kiawa di be ki chimbo re se chechun la shibige se da kanga chunchu na de la jibige da ningdo chi simshu kiawa re chembo na de la ada di ni maduba di chigin simbige ningdo de simshu kiawa re di ningdo de simshu kiawa di be ma se ki chimbo re se.
The paragraph concludes, it is important to generate courage correspondent to the size of the difficulties. Here then, the practitioner needs to be clear-eyed, recognize the magnitude of the task ahead, and generate a courage that corresponds to that task. Set a determination, a strength of mind that is suitable to the size of the challenge before them, and in this way they can embark with confidence.
다 추유균나셔서 추유균세 추디마 육슈주로는 곧마로는 조야메데 디나 로도 님이 년가 공다 천생아 디나 로도 거로 모두 로도 어디나 신한테 존주디 봐 지 듬바데데 징이 디변한 중 하나도 람냠네 제바이나 인장슈 셈냠네 제야다 디니 디니 냠네 지 선비게 듬바데 모두 이제 고 로고레스 요고레스 이자 디네기 듬바데 가브리엘 앞에 슉슉 다 디링게 지기나 사베긴 냠네제다 곰직하게 인사베 지오지 지긴 선베다 듬바 슉슉 슉게 다 다오 하셔자도 로 하실 때 아다디 용사 말했는데 무디데 샤샤제 난 간zamjel이야 근데 지메바 차로야 용고레스 지자디 고 당번에 고 슉슉모메게 고 렘바 지체네 고 무디 이제 야 길리길리 지 누바디 듬바디야 슉처샤 땅이 당기당이 진 무딘 조고레스지 지상한 저기 듬바디 닝도프세 듬바다 닝도프세 무디고레스 디송고르바 지자다 디 듬바디 전주 무디 추유 윤나신 고고레스 니가라 쇠베냠네 고고레스지 제사다 닝톱게 월세 쇠바데 리월디나바 가라스나 아주 냠는 지리 갑려야 강아 연구와 검제 직주데 류레 강아 셈나 강아 대용 제사 디네게 냠는 지에로 뺀마서 약보레서 닝톱게도 쇠베냠네 리월에 제사 쇠베냠네 아주게 최랑에 셈유 쇠바 시리 디네게 최 냠는 제발야 안직 가제낭이 지긴 셈비게 닝톱게데 쇠베냠네 리월 제사 디서 닌 전주기 냠네다 쇠베냠네 냠는 냠들이 용 제거래 어디스니 돕게 해야 돼. 전주 듬바스야 돼. 전주기 냠내세로와 전주기 냠내다 쇠베 냠내다 냠들이 거래.
In this section, we are being encouraged to develop a strength of mind, a determination to see our tasks through to completion. And this is important. You've heard me often use the expression repeatedly over a sustained period. So that is what I'm talking about. And here we are being encouraged to engage in virtue continuously. We need to use the illustration of a flowing river to liken our practice to. We need to take care of our mind at all times, day and night, in all situations. This is our practice. Take care of our mind at all times, in all situations. And in our context here of cultivating bodhicitta, taking care of our mind means ensuring that the attitudes of a bodhisattva, that the mind of bodhicitta itself, the welfare of others, is at the forefront of our motivation, our aspiration, our determination, at all times, in every situation, day and night. And in this way, by taking responsibility of our own mind, taking care of our own mind, we also serve to guard against the danger of giving up, All too often, you may have experienced yourself or have observed that someone embarks on an activity with great enthusiasm, maybe trying to develop a new skill or engaging in a new hobby, and after a while they give up. And in the case of spiritual practice, they try really hard, but after a while they feel overwhelmed and they give up. This is what we need to guard ourselves against, and the way we do so is through taking care of our mind, taking responsibility of our mind. And we practice like a flowing river, night and day, meaning we always take care of our mind, ensuring that the aspirations of our bodhisattva are first and foremost. And here what is being described is actually the practice of patience. If we think of the different types of patience, all would apply here, but in particular, the patience of practicing the Dharma, which means whatever hardships one encounters whilst engaging in Dharma practice, in other words, whilst cultivating one's mind, caring for one's mind, one doesn't allow them to overwhelm one. Rather, through skillful means, one transforms them. And one does so with an attitude of determination, but also of delight. So here, through the use of those words, we see that patience and joyous perseverance are companions. When one is patient, or to use synonyms, forbearing with hardships, one does so with perseverance. So this is the determination, the strength of mind, but also with delight. Delight in what one is doing through seeing the importance of this opportunity. So in this way, what's being presented here is actually the two companion practices of patience and joyous perseverance.
Semba sana sada lamya samman sidu semba sangpo gyule chanchu semba sangpo chiyoba ina chamba da zewe samlo chiyoba ina digi rangshan niga la debu karasu de ne karsore sangpo chungure penpa chungure da semba ngana sada lamya ngaya sidu chida semba samla shanle zewe saba nube saba samla ngamba chiki kuwa ina digi debu rangshan niga la nyoba chungure chida so semna rali gure ese semna kechimure ese jerimchi ti sungore de lamsana sayure de jung malam na rigo tonadina.
So again, I quoted something from Lama Tsongkhapa, where he states that if one is kind-hearted, has a gentle mind, an attitude of loving kindness, there'll be immeasurable benefit for all beings, oneself and others. If one has a contrary mind, a harsh mind, one will be dominated by afflictions, such as anger and harmful intent, pride and jealousy. And then only harm follows for beings, oneself and others. So therefore, our mind is of great importance, and this should be our primary focus, caring for our mind, taking care of our mind.
Dinashin Georgie Garasungorasne, me Mambunium de Mambe Nado Ngala, da Chibu de Semba Das, said me Mambunium de Geshe de million Nebi, 60 Shigdu, some Chigumi, never Chagdu minutes, Gish de la Subsubche or Estella some Tangos. That's also Chibu de that made to get Tigi to the nearest marriage. That's some Nalia Caracode, some of Tachi or yes, some Loya Shell, Nube somebody, Nomo somebody Kiwi, gave somebody Kiwi, do Shimjuche, Nomo some than Shell Nube somebody, Dipa some of the car, and then gave somebody, Pembe somebody pa, get to a busy or just similar part, Tachi or some Nalia Caracood party, Jamba that didn't sometimes Tachi or just similar Tachi or said, she's a same decay which she was soon to her.
There's a famous expression, saying from Lama Atisha as well, that when I'm with others, I watch my speech. When I'm on my own, I watch my mind. Here what he's saying is that at all times, I take care of my mind, ensuring that it stays virtuous, that I'm guided by an attitude of loving kindness, of a tender heart. And in this way, not only do I take care of myself, but I ensure that the impact I have on others is only beneficial.
Chu dua nge machine slare chu dua se denga sikta dine ko mang sing me slare ane twanda la karsna rangsem duna dua yin la rangi sem duna dua re che rangi sem du se de rangi sem nyomo chu so ma ton wa pembe sem di jungwa ne sem dua se go wa jesa dua se di re se go twanda lan ji go jesa chu chigi dua se de ma re dua se de kanesh la go se ne rangi sim nyomobe choso matongwa masongwa matangwa je gewi choso tangyo ba na tangtuba na di duare sim duare jige sim duare se sim di nyomobe choso ba ga je ani gewi choso ya tangtuba sangbe choso sim sangbe ri tuba de duare cheza rang sim duna duwa yin se rangi sim di gewi choso nyomobe choso matangwa je gewi choso tangwa di del duare duare se
The great being Geshe Thubten was asked, what is the meaning of the Vinaya? So just to say as a translator, here it's a play on words, which does not work in English, but I'll try and get it across. So he was asked, what is the meaning of the Vinaya, or what is the Vinaya? So he replied and said, I don't know the words of the Vinaya, but what I do know is that the meaning of the Vinaya is to tame your mind, to subdue your mind. So the play on words here is Vinaya is a Sanskrit word, and in English you'd say monastic discipline, but the same word also means to tame or subdue the mind. So bear that in mind now. I'll repeat what I've just said, that the word Vinaya, monastic discipline, means to tame or subdue. So Milarepa replied, I don't know what the Vinaya means, but I know, I don't know the words of the Vinaya, but I know that the meaning is to tame your mind, to subdue your mind. So here, Milarepa is saying, as with Lama Tsongkhapa and Atisha, that we need to take care of our mind.
Dua se de kane laba zamji ni shima zanji donda nyam mata na dua chagyo mare se de da dua se de ngone se de kane chela was ne rangi sem du ko rangi sem nyomo be choso mata wa che geyu choso tuya de dua res dele tene chilo dua la gre sa ji dui donda dire sungorda.
So therefore Milarepa was saying, if you don't train your mind, or to express this differently, you don't subdue your mind, you don't tame your mind, or you don't subdue your mind, you will never know the meaning of the Vinaya. So one may be able to point to the Vinaya or be able to recite words of the Vinaya, but if you haven't tamed or subdued your mind, you haven't realized the meaning of the Vinaya.
The dua said in Anzulia, Rabdushua Tigelia, Yamnan Dinichi, she already did Checho Marti, Chiko Marsen, she's the same Samnotana Dinichi or did Dagomar Yamin Sunda Sura, Tachaderua.
So for the ordained, the Vinaya is expressed as this is what you can do and this is what you should refrain from doing, what you should do and what you should refrain from doing. But the purpose of this is to subdue your mind.
Na sanyi jumlen digi da denige sungoro digba jiya mi jashin ke o phunsun choba che rangi semne yonsu du dine sanyi tenpa rin shur. Chizan diba sayade jigyo mares, diba chiya kanya, diba chungwe na, chungchwe na, zawagin jigyo mares sayade, diba chiya. Gewa di gang tup tu chukure, punsun sopa chukure shay. Da, yonsu che, rangi semne yonsu du chita, rangi semda gewa chukure, rangi sem du kukures, rangi sem nyomobe choso madangwa, gewi pa 가전에 개회 초소 당데 랑게 셈 두고래 제가 랑게 셈 두이지 두스 냠는지네 두스는 냠는지네 데네랑 랑게 셈 잠니제 잔주셈 다소 바다 람귤에 끼어도 데네 상이 땜바세데 귤이 와래 제가디 개회 초 냠는제데 상이 땜바세 된 시고래 상이 땜바 룽기 땜바도 또베 땜바스 하상아 주시 그지마 상이 땜바도 땜바 셔게 투베 땜바 세조로 와다 다그 최디시 오르와 템발라나 상이 템발은 내가 저기 템바 셔게 투비 템바 시도 템바 셔게 투비 손셰비 냠는 이름바 시고와 냠는 이름바 디시 템바 센 디시고와 제가 디 랑게 셈뉴 용수 둘 디네 상이 템바 인셔 랑게 셈 뇨모비 초수 마송하자 랑게 셈 뇨모바 치사파 가제 랑게 셈 개위초 냠는 이름바 아니 베네 콘도기 바가 잠제 잠바단 세와다 아니 지게 뇨모베 록달라 소바가네 다음에 봐 또베 동니 또베 셰라라 소바 데네기 냠는 이름바티가 수기데 이 상이 템바데 에스티 제가 데네치라 상이 템바레 라고마도 상이 템바세디 지게 낭야 로정 냠는 메바지 칠리파 지금 인주로 쇠셔가는 템바 체고 말해서 제가 상이 템바세디 아주 내가 제거해야 될 것은 디부 봐야 되레스 디부 체중 간에서 나자오기네 제기어만 디 마음에 봐서 그래 다 개화디 풍순 소바데 간에 체중 간에나 개화 강 두고야디 차산 두고 그래서 개화 풍순 소바제스 디용야 될 가령은 랑게 셈 두이터는 용고 그래서 제가 셈 뇨모베 초도 봐 매봐서 개위초 게 잠니제 잔쇼셈 녜조나 장스미야다베 따와라소바 파진주기 냠네디 파도스진 간도 끼와지 오래 디게위초 상이 템바레스 지선 디니기 냠는 제바이나 델야 상이 템바라기레스
Before every class, we recite the praise of Buddha Shakyamuni, and therein, I think maybe it's the third or fourth last verse, there's a particular quotation from the Buddha, particular sutra verse, goes something like, commit not a single non-virtuous deed, cultivate solely virtue, subdue your own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So this then again is the same meaning as what Milarepa said, that if one merely knows the words of the Vinaya hasn't served its purpose within you. So that meaning is also expressed here in this sutra quotation from the Buddha. Commit not a single misdeed, accumulate solely virtue, which means take care of your mind. This is then the third line. Take care of your own mind, subdue your own mind. So this word for Vinaya, subdue or tame your own mind. This is our practice. This is the meaning of Buddhist practice. Repeatedly over a sustained period, at all times, ensuring that your mind is not under the influence of the afflictions, but rather wholesome minds, virtuous minds. Abandon minds such as anger, and rather ensure love and compassion is dominant. When one notices afflictions such as anger, generate love and compassion. When one is aware that one is grasping at appearances as being true, remind oneself of reality. Don't be deceived by believing in appearances. So here, the Buddha, just like Milarepa, Lama Tsongkhapa or Atisha, is guiding us to take care of our own minds at all times. This is our training, this is our practice, and this is our fulfillment of the, maybe we could say, our fulfillment of our abiding in or being in accordance with the lineage of the Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha, which is to ensure our minds become separate from the afflictions, but rather abide in virtuous states.
냠네 심주와 당고래 디단에 디기투고 동아 세고래 세디 당아 도시나 삼로 따제 디기투고 세다데 어디 소야 되게 당아 저게 냠네 강도도 제도야 되다 예치 뭐라 차고로 당아도 디링게 랍셔래 되네시도.
What we've looked at then tonight is the advice here from His Holiness, which corresponds to all the teachings you receive from all lamas. Take care of your mind, transform your mind. This is the meaning of Buddhist practice. This is the purpose of Buddhist practice, and it is the indisputable method for happiness, for lasting happiness, peace of mind. And thank you very much. We'll finish there for tonight. Thank you.